In this lesson, you will learn how to select your clips and use the color match feature inside of Resolve to quickly color correct and neutralize your footage. So like I mentioned before, all the clips that you want to color correct have to be in a timeline. Now I've already added all of my clips in my project to this timeline here. And the next step is to use this color target here to do a color correction. So I'm going to jump over to the color page here. And things look a little bit squished. So I'm going to make this viewer take up more space so you can see exactly what's happening. Now I do have Resolve shrunk down in my monitor here so that it's a little bit easier for you to see. The interface should look a lot better on your monitor when it's scaled properly and maximized to fit the screen. So I want to use this color target here to get a really quick and accurate color correction on this footage. What I'm going to do is right over here in the color page, I'm going to click this color match button, and that's going to bring up this color match control panel here. And I've got a couple of options. There are currently 4 different color targets or reference targets that Resolve can use: the Chroma du Monde 24+4, the Datacolor Spider Checker, the DCS Labs SMPTE One-Shot, and the X-Rite Color Checker. The X-Rite Color Checker is the one that I'm using here. So I have that selected. Over here in the viewer, I'm going to change the tool to the color chart. And you're going to see that's going to put a grid right on the screen. Now I'm going to use the corner pins here to just line this box up. You can see I'm just going to scroll my mouse to zoom in here. You can see that there's these little corner alignment marks here. So I'm going to line up the 4 corners on there. If you middle mouse click and hold and click and drag, you can move this around, and that's what I'm doing here. Now you don't have to be super precise as long as the squares line up in the color boxes. And now right here under configuration, you have some settings. You have the source gamma, the target color space, and the color temperature. I'm going to leave all of these on Rec 709. You can see there are a bunch of other different options here. You may have to experiment to find out what works best with your camera. If you're shooting in a log profile, you may want to change the settings here. These shots were filmed using the C100's wide dynamic range, so I can leave this set to Rec 709. And now all I have to do is press the match button. And when I do, you can see a huge shift here in the colors. And over here, it will show you on each individual color sample how far the colors were off. And just to show you kind of an A-B, I'm going to turn on and off the node by clicking the number here, and you can see a huge shift in the colors. And it may not look at first like it's correct, but let me take this color chart off here. But take a look at these grayscale values here. This is white and this is all the way black. You can see that now these are looking very, very neutral, which is right. Now, this particular clip was intentionally shot using some tricky lighting. There is some exterior overcast lighting coming in from this direction, and overhead there is 3 relatively low color temperature halogen bulbs and 1 2700 Kelvin fluorescent bulb. So the light color is all over the place. And I believe the camera was set to daylight white balance. And so despite all of those variables, Resolve is able to rein in the colors and make them look neutral, which is great. This is a fantastic starting point for any further color adjustments. Now I'm going to click the timeline here, and I'm going to jump to this clip right here. I'm going to get rid of the timeline, and I'm going to do the same thing to this clip. Now the target is much smaller, but that's okay. The main thing you need to get this to work is for the color target to be lit evenly in the lighting that you're going to use. So if I had a different color background light, I obviously wouldn't want to have that shining on my color target here. All right, now I'm going to click match, and there you go. Now we've matched these colors. Now to make this easier on yourself, you may want to jump over to the editor, and wherever you're lining up this chart, you may want to drop a marker. And that way you'll be able to find your spot again if you want to make any adjustments and you don't have to mess with kind of realigning this here. If I wanted to make a change to the color temperature, maybe pushing this down to, let's say, 5500, I can click the match button again and you'll see what that's going to do here. It's going to make this quite a bit warmer, but I'm going to leave it at the default 6500 because I think that's pretty close. So you can see here the colors aren't quite as far off as they were before, but it's still a pretty dramatic shift. You can see over here on the scope that there definitely was a lot more blue in the picture without this being corrected, because you can see the blue is jumping up right here, especially in the background here. And with it corrected, the red, blue, and green are lining up much more evenly, and that's because that's supposed to be black, which does not have a lot of excess blue in it. And that's really all there is to it. Now, coming up in the next lesson, you're going to learn how to take these adjustments and copy them to the other clips in your timeline. So check that out coming up next.